Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a full face of neglected makeup. I've done a few of these on my channel and basically I just go through my collection and pick out products I know I haven't used recently in videos or just in life in general. And we use all those products and do our makeup together. I also thought we could do a fall smoky eye, something to that effect. So I tried to keep that in mind when I picked the products. So I wanted to do a fall look, but I also wanted to use neglected makeup, so I thought we could just combine the two. So that is today's video. If you are new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. And let's get into the video. All right, as always, I'm gonna apply my SPF. I like including this in videos, and a lot of you have told me that you really like it when you see creators that include SPF that they wear under makeup. So I'm gonna start trying to include this in most of my videos. And unfortunately, it's like the same SPF over and over again because this is my favorite one and I love it. I think I've been through, I don't even know how many, probably 6 or 7 of these at this point. But it's just the best that I found. It's also incredibly hydrating as well. So it's kind of like an SPF and a hydrating primer all in one, which is really nice. All right, let's get into the makeup. I did pull out a primer. Hopefully, you know how it goes with primers. Sometimes primers can cause problems for me, but we're gonna use just a little bit of this one. This is the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer, which I actually really like. If of all the pore diffusing type primers, this one is probably my favorite. It's not like extremely blurring or anything like that. It just kind of smooths the skin, but it does a really nice job. And typically, this is not one that causes problems for me. When I say cause problems, I just mean like making foundations pill or do weird things. That drives me nuts with primer, and that's why I skip primer a lot, because I just find they can cause more harm really sometimes than they actually help. But figured we could try it, hope for the best with this. For foundation, I was kind of torn, but I ended up going with my House Labs foundation. This is the Triclone Skin Tech foundation. Now, the reason that this is neglected for me is because I don't have a great shade match in this product. I find the House Labs shades incredibly confusing, and I've never gotten a great shade match. So I have the shade 160. I think this might be okay, because I do have a little bit of color like on my body from being in Florida last week, but I'm gonna take just a little bit of this white mixer, just about that much. And I'm gonna mix it in just because I have a feeling it still might be a little bit too dark. So I'm gonna kind of mix those two together on the palm of my hand. House Labs foundation is really pretty. I find that even with foundations that I really like I think they're pretty, I like the finish. Even if that's the case, if I have a bad shade match, and this is kind of true with concealers as well, I won't use it. I just won't use it because I don't know. That's just not, I hate it when I have bad shade match. And this one is also pretty warm to me, even though shade 160 is supposed to be a light shade with neutral undertones. I do not think this is light, and I don't think it's neutral undertones either. So, but you know, that seems to be the story of my life now with foundations. I added a little bit of the white pigment and it's still maybe like a hair too dark, so I don't know. If you are around my shade and you have a good shade match in this foundation, let me know what it is, because I don't know. I don't know if a really great match exists for me in this one. And I am applying with the 106 from BK Beauty. As always, in pretty much every single video, this is what I use. I know what I like with my foundation brushes and I just tend to stick to it. So I use this in pretty much every single video. I think it's still like a smidge dark, but that's okay. We'll fix it with our concealer. But for corrector, I pulled out this one. Who remembers this? Who remembers when I would use this all the time? This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish Corrector, and it's still a great product. I don't reach for this one as much anymore just because there's so many that I've discovered in the last few years that I love so much. But honestly, I haven't been as into cream correctors as much lately. I've really been enjoying liquid ones that have like a doe foot applicator. But I used to be very, very into cream correctors. And this one is in the shade medium. Love a good color corrector. They just make such a difference. For concealer, I pulled out this one from Givenchy. This is the Prisme Libre Skin Caring Concealer, and this is the shade C180. Now, this concealer I really, really like. The only thing I don't love about it is I wish it just had a little bit more coverage, because if it did, this would be like one of my top concealers. Also, this is a really nice shade. It's like a, I think it's supposed to be a cooler undertone, but to me, this is pretty neutral. And it's super hydrating, just really, really nice and pretty under the eyes. So I'm gonna do my trick down here that I do a lot with foundations when the color is just kind of slightly off, is I take a concealer that is more neutral, whichever one I can find, and I kind of draw these little lines down here and kind of blend into my neck a little bit, and it kind of evens out the color. I do that quite a bit actually with whatever I'm using that's not like the exact right color, and it works really well. And just using the 106 in the areas where I want the least amount of coverage from the concealer. Do any of you have this concealer and do you like it? I remember when this concealer came out, it was, I want to say it was pretty popular. I don't hear much about it anymore, but I remember when it came out, there was a lot of talk about it. And let's see, I'm gonna use same concealer brush again because I just can't get enough of this brush, the N14 from BK Beauty. Also, the foundation laid really nicely over the top of the Rare Beauty primer, so that's good because you never know. Sometimes things, primers and foundations don't mix. This one looks really good over the Haus Labs foundation. Let me know if the Haus Labs foundation is like your favorite foundation or your holy grail, and if you're around my skin tone, definitely let me know what shade you wear, because I really do like the foundation. It's just, I just find I don't reach for it because I know whenever I wear it, typically I don't love the shade, and then that kind of throws off the whole makeup look often, unless I can kind of save it with concealer or something else. So let me know if you have a shade that you think might work for me. All right, let's move into bronzer, or actually this shade is more of like a contour shade. This is the Patrick Ta Major Sculpt Cream Contour and Bronzer Duo. So this is the shade She's Sculpted. So you have a cream and a powder like all of his duos. The cream is a little bit cooler in tone and the powder is a little bit warmer like bronzer. So I figured we could use this today because it's been a while for sure since I've used this duo. I'm just gonna use this 109 from BK Beauty. This one is freshly washed, which is always a good feeling. I'm just kind of tapping it off on my hand because this shade is pretty deep for my skin tone. So I'm gonna use a little bit of the contour and the bronzer, so just kind of tapping this along the cheekbone. His creams, they're just good. They're just good. I don't know why I don't use the bronzer ones as much. I use the blush ones all the time, as you know. But the bronzers I don't use as often. And I really should, because the formulas are just great. It's really nice. She's Sculpted is a really beautiful shade. They really do just kind of melt into the skin. His creams, they're just really, really nice. I need to pull this out and use it more. I also have She's Bronzed in this formula, which that one, the cream and the powder are both very warm, like bronzers. All right, let's do some powder. I'm gonna use a powder blush and a little bit of that powder bronzer. So I don't wanna go over these wet creams without powdering a little bit first. So the powder I pulled out is the Haus Labs powder. Now this, for a long time, was my absolute favorite powder, and I still love it. I've just discovered so many powders in the last few months that I also love, loose powders. So I haven't been using this one as much, which makes me sad because this is a great powder. And I figured we could use it also because we used the Haus Labs foundation. So this one has the annoying netting in it. So just gonna kind of get some in the brush and then kind of tap it off and just start lightly setting my face with this. This is a Sephora brush that unfortunately they discontinued, and I don't know why, because it's one of my favorites for setting powder. It was the number 55 brush and they discontinued it. But I really like it. It's a great size for setting powder without being too big. But this Haus Labs powder is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's very blurring, not heavy on the skin, but it really does blur a lot. And it's talc-free. Under the eyes, I'm going to take a little bit of this powder. This is Westman Atelier in Pink Bubble, the Vital Pressed Skincare Powder. I actually like the Haus Labs powder under my eyes, but this is another powder that I don't use a ton, so I figured I would pull it out and use it. And I'm just using a Sigma brush with this just to set my under eyes. This is the F64. I don't dislike this powder. I don't really know why I don't use it, but I definitely don't. All right, I'm gonna take just a little bit of the powder now in the Patrick Ta Duo, just to add a little bit more warmth to my face, but I'm not applying much at all. For blush, I pulled out two because I couldn't decide. I think I know which one I'm gonna go for. I pulled out this Dior blush, or not Dior, this is the Gucci blush. This is the Gucci Blush de Beauté Cheeks and Eyes Powder Luminous Matte Blush in the shade Rosy Beige, which looks like this, a really beautiful, pretty neutral beigey shade. But I also pulled out the MAC Mineralized Blush in Warm Soul. I wanted to keep the blush pretty neutral because we're gonna go a little bit darker, a little bit smokier on the eyes. So Dior is definitely a lot more pigmented. So that's Warm Soul and that is Rosy Beige. Maybe we'll start with Warm Soul and then we could always add a little bit of Rosy Beige if we wanted to. So I think that's what we'll do. I'm gonna use the other end of this Hourglass brush. I don't use this MAC Warm Soul blush that much. I think I've never fallen really in love with the formula, which is very interesting because I typically love like a baked blush formula, but I don't know, something about this one has just never really grabbed me. I don't know why. And it's not that it's not pretty, it definitely is. It's just, I don't know. It's not one that I'm just dying to use. So I think that's why it's neglected, but I always hold on to it because I love the color. Like the shade is so like soft and just wearable for my skin tone. Yeah, I don't think I need the rosy beige. I also pulled this out from Tom Ford. This is the Shade and Illuminate Highlighting Duo in Mood Light. This is a beautiful product. I just, honestly, I forget that I have it. I forget to use it. My favorite of the two is definitely this bottom one. And that MAC blush has some glow in it already, so I don't really need any of this, but it is a really pretty, it's a highlighter, but it's more like a, kind of reminds me of the Hourglass ambient lighting highlighter type, or powders, I should say. It's not really a highlighter. Not as intense to me as a traditional powder highlighter, but figured we'll use a little since I pulled it out. All right, let's move into brows. So I am gonna use these products from Victoria Beckham. I have the Baby Blade brow pencil and I have the Feather Fix brow gel. Pretty much all of my brow products are neglected right now except the Maybelline Build-A-Brow, because that has been just my absolute favorite thing ever lately. And the new NYX powder pencil, I've been loving that also. So those are really the ones I'm using on a daily basis. So pretty much everything else is neglected. So we're gonna use this Baby Blade pencil first from Victoria Beckham. And let's see, what shade is this? This is the shade Taupe. I remember when I ordered this, I kind of had a hard time figuring out what color to order because the other one that seemed like what I would typically go for, which was like medium brown or something like that, that one had almost like a warm reddish undertone, and that, I don't really like a warm brow product. So that's why I went with Taupe. But I don't usually go for taupes. I feel like usually taupe is for blonde hair. This is a very nice brow pencil. I just don't. I've been all about the Maybelline Build-A-Brow. And I really like a lot of drugstore brow products, honestly. I think the drugstore does brows really, really well. But this is nice. And then I'm gonna use the Feather Fix brow gel, which looks like this. It has this little like hairbrush looking wand. And this is a little bit hard to use. It's very, very liquidy, so I find I have to really make sure I get the excess product off because it's so liquidy, it can kind of get everywhere if you're not careful. So honestly, I probably should have gotten the clear one. You see how much product is all over the wand, so you have to kind of be careful because I have accidentally applied too much before and the product will get on your skin and it just kind of creates a mess. All right, let's move into the fun part, which is the eyes. Before we get started, I'm gonna apply an eyeshadow base. This one is the Sigma one in the shade Ignite because I want to have like an even canvas to start out with since we're gonna use some of the darker colors. And I am blending the primer in with the 206 brush from BK Beauty. All right, I am gonna take a little bit of my powder that we used, and I'm gonna set that primer in place. I don't always do that, but I want all these shadows to apply really smoothly, so I'm gonna set that primer first. All right, so the palette that I pulled out is this one from Dior. I love this palette. It doesn't look like a palette that I would really go for that often, but I don't know what it is. Something about this color story I just love. And I think it's because it's neutral, but it's just a little bit deeper and darker than like the everyday palette for me. So I really, really like it. And I love the Backstage formula as well from Dior. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go into this shade, this middle taupe shade. It's called Soft Taupe. And I'm gonna use this A501 from BK Beauty. This is one of the Angie brushes. And I'm gonna start applying this on the lid and just kind of tapping it up. And I'm gonna kind of gradually build it up. I love this shade. Like that shade just by itself to me is just stunning. So, so stunning. Okay, then I am going to take a little bit of this shade right here, this like beigey color, or actually, I'm gonna take this one instead. This one, I think is called Soft Rose. Kind of like a rosier taupey color. And I'm gonna put this in the crease, and I'm also just gonna kind of use this to diffuse the edges of that first shade that we used. Yeah, this color, this soft taupe, is just such a beautiful one and done shadow. If you like these like kind of gray, minky colors, this one is so pretty. So now I'm just repeating the same thing, obviously, on this eye. All right, now we're gonna go into this shade, which is called Smoky Wood. So this one is this is a really pretty shade. It's kind of like a metallic black gray, like a graphite kind of color, I guess. Now, this might go very, very wrong. I don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but I'm getting some of that on this little shader brush. This is old from Luxie. Making sure to tap it off because this color has a little bit of fallout. So I'm really kind of tapping off my brush to try to avoid getting it all over my face. But I'm gonna start applying this on the lid, but I'm trying to keep it like kind of concentrated close to the lash line. I'm not trying to go up super far with it. I'm also not adding a ton of it because I want to kind of gradually build it up. All right, that brush is not really doing it for me. Let me grab a different brush. All right, let me try this one instead. This is a 209 from BK Beauty. And okay, I think this will work better. I'm just tapping that on. I'm really trying to just stay really low down on the lid and like almost kind of just above the lash line. I like that. Okay. And then I'm gonna take my first brush that we used, and I didn't add any new product to it at all. I'm just gonna kind of feather over the whole eye because my idea was I wanted it to be dark, a little bit lighter, and a little bit lighter, like gradient effect. So I'm adding a little bit more now and just doing the same thing, going over very, very lightly. I do find if you're gonna do a smokier eye look, personally, I think this is the best way to do it, to kind of gradually build it up, you know what I mean? Instead of going in like really, really heavy right away and trying to blend it out and do all that, I just find that this is just kind of my way of doing it. So these Dior eyeshadows, one thing that I love about them, and this is just like a personal preference thing, is as you can see, the formula is a buildable formula. So they're more of a satiny finish. So you're not gonna get like intensity right away, like very opaque color, which to me just makes it more wearable. I just find that's just the kind of formula that I love the most because I find it's just easier and it's just not as harsh. And y'all know me, I'm all about a more natural style of makeup. That's just what I personally really like. And I find that pretty easy with a formula like this. All right, I'm gonna go back into Soft Taupe again, which was that first shade that we used. And I'm gonna kind of tap a little bit more of that on, kind of in between that darker shade and the crease, just to get a little bit more of that tone in there. All right, and then I'm also gonna take this, because this is something that I do with pretty much every single eyeshadow look ever. If I do an eyeshadow look at all, is I take whatever bronzer I used, and I always add a little bit of it to the crease because it just brings the whole look together. It's crazy what that does, but I swear any eyeshadow look that you do, you feel like just something is just not quite right. Take whatever you put on your cheeks, whether it's the bronzer or the blush or both, and put it on your eyes. It will make a big difference, I promise. Now I'm gonna take the black, the black in the palette. Has this matte black down here, which I love that it has that. And I'm gonna use this little BK Beauty 204 brush. And I'm gonna start kind of tapping this on the lash line. Really just like the outer half. I don't ever really bring super dark colors in all the way on my eye shape. I just don't think it serves my eye shape very well. And then I'm gonna take a tiny little fluffy brush and just kind of go over it a little, because I want the black to be there. Like I want the definition from it, but I don't want it to look like, I don't know, like super precise. I want it to look more lived in, you know? And do the same thing on this eye. And I'm trying to keep my eye open also, since my eye is hooded. I really need to be able to see where I'm placing it. All right, then I'm gonna take this pearly white color in the corner, and I'm gonna put this right here in the inner corner. I'm gonna take a little bit of that color right here on the arch of my brow too. Not very much at all, just a tiny little bit. All right, and then I'm just gonna take my big fluffy brush again and just kind of go very, very lightly over the whole eye. I didn't add any product or anything. I'm just holding the brush out really, really far and going over everything one more time. For the bottom lash line, I'm gonna, I guess, take the original shade, which is Soft Taupe, and I'm going to put that on the lower lash line. I don't love a ton on the lower lash line, just for me and my eyes, but I am gonna take this shade down there because this was the first shade that we used. Okay, I did pull out an eyeliner, and I'm gonna use, I might just put it in the waterline just because, but that is it there. It's the Persona eyeliner in the shade Graphite. It's just truly that, like a graphite gray kind of shade. I don't use this shade very often at all. So I'm gonna go in the waterline with this. I'm not gonna add any to the top because I don't really think we need any more there. For mascara, I'm just gonna use the one that I have out that is black because I think this look definitely needs black mascara. So I'm using this one from Give. All right, finally for lips, let's pick a lip liner. I already picked 3, but I'm not sure. So we have Charlotte Tilbury Love Trap. we have Sephora collection in Dressed to the 90s. And then I also pulled out Structure from Pat McGrath, which used to be my absolute favorite ever if you've been around a long time. So we have Love Trap, Dressed to the 90s, and Structure. Not really sure what I'm going for. We might start with Dressed to the 90s. I don't use this one a ton. It's more of like, I don't know, almost like a grayish tone, which honestly I'm not sure that I'm loving. Also have Cool Brown from Anastasia. I almost pulled that one out, but I tried to pull the ones that are like neglected, you know? Then I pulled out two lipsticks. I pulled out Very Victoria from Charlotte Tilbury, which is a nice kind of like a rosier taupe. And then I also pulled out the Prada lipstick. This is the soft matte lipstick in B106. So that is Prada, and that is Very Victoria. Let's do Very Victoria. Something I don't love about the lip, which I was thinking that might happen. Not loving the lip. Okay, hold on. All right, we're gonna try something else. So I pulled out Cool Brown because I had this originally. The other ones were looking like too morbid. I really don't love a cool eye and a cool lip. It's just too much for me. I think I might try this. So this is Makeup by Mario, his Ultra Suede Lip in Sam, which is kind of more of like a neutral pink. So not super warm or cool, it's just kind of in between. All right, and then I think I need a little bit of gloss. I pulled out this gloss. This is Lawless Forget the Filler in the shade Nudie, and it's very, very nude. That's pretty. I don't know, the others were too cool for me. Finally, we got to the end of this video. This was quite a journey to get here, but what do you think of this look? If you know me, you know this is like very far outside what I normally do. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. Now, is this something I would wear a lot? No, but gosh, it's so fun. It's so fun to sit and just play with things, which is why I wanted to film this video. And we used a ton of makeup that I haven't used recently, which is even better. But I kind of love this eye, I'm not gonna lie. I have nowhere to wear this. In fact, we're in the middle of a hurricane right now. Hurricane Helene is coming through here right now. So it's like pouring down rain here today. So I'm not going anywhere. I have nothing to do today, but this was very fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think. If you watch my videos, you know that this is not what I go for. Usually, I don't really go smoky or anything like that very often. That's just not really my thing, but I have to say, I like it a lot. I like it a lot, and it was very fun to create. So I hope you enjoyed just hanging out with me, or maybe you followed along, maybe you did your makeup together with me. I hope you enjoyed it regardless, but I will have all the products we use linked for you as always in the description box and in YouTube shopping for you as well. If you shop through my links, I do make a commission that supports my channel. And if you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and make sure to follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you.